Sick of people at ESPN and SportsCenter who think they have their heads on their shoulders but really don't? Well, it's time for the Jimmy the K Sports Show. We're going to give you the most urgent sports news. Now it's time for the Jimmy the K Sports Show. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for the number one sports show on the web. Here we go, my friends. A little something new for you here at the Sports Zone. I'm your host, Jimmy the K. You see me each and every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time here on Ustream. For the time being, that could change. We'll see. Anything can happen. Alrighty, I had a few questions coming through the chat on the Sports Zone page from Sports Guy 214. You know my name. Why won't you give me your name? Just give me a first and last initial. I won't know who you are unless you're really not a sports guy. Dun dun dun. No. Well, you wanted to know about football. Well, we got football and we got baseball news because the Manager of the Year awards came out today. There's been several trades in MLB that we need to look at and get into. But first, we're going to start off with the NFL, Mr. Sports Guy 241. And I'm going to start off the show by talking about the suspension to pass rusher Aldon Smith. He pleaded not guilty to a charge that was brought up against him. And the NFL has decided to suspend him for 1 year for violating the league's policy of substance abuse. What that means, I don't know. Was he popping a pill? I don't know. You know, it's the NFL. Most of those guys do pop pills. What we do know is that the league wants to claim that they suspended him for personal conduct and substance abuse policies for a year. Okay, so be it. What about Greg Hardy? What about guys that beat their wives or girlfriends and get a flippin' slap on the wrist for 3 or 4 games? What about them? What about them? Why are we not seeing harsh penalties like this in the NFL to guys like Greg Hardy? Are they afraid of people like Jerry Jones who are lining the NFL's pockets and the commissioner's pockets of pulling out? Or do they just not have big enough cojones, big enough nads, big enough balls to give it to players like Greg Hardy? You know, I am not going to argue this suspension by the NFL because if he did what he did, it's due process. It's due process. But what I will argue against the NFL is if you're going to do it to this one player, then you better start doing it to every player out there the same way. You don't just pick and choose the players that you want to suspend a year. You know, Greg Hardy did much worse. Much, much worse. And instead, he gets a slap on the wrist for a few games. And he's playing with the Dallas Cowboys now. And I'll get more into that coming up in a couple more segments. Because I really want to, Sports Guy 241 wanted to know what's up with the Cowboys, and I went out on a whole blog on what's wrong with the Cowboys, and I'll go over what I blogged about that as well. But the topic at hand is that of Aldon Smith. Was the suspension accurate? Was it handed down correctly by the NFL? My thoughts are, you know, if you're going to hand that type of penalty out to guys like Aldon Smith, you need to hand those type of penalties out to everyone in the league. Period. End of discussion. You can't just pick and choose the players that you want to hand out suspensions to because, you know, their owners or their coaches or their owners' wives are in your back pocket or in your front pocket, however you want to look at it. You've got to treat each and every player with the same amount of respect as the last player. So if you're going to do this to Aldon Smith, the next time Greg Hardy does something as much as sneeze wrong, then the NFL needs to suspend him for a year as well. You can't pick and choose your battles. You have to pick and choose the battles and continue down the same path with every player doing the same type of punishment each and every time. So my take is, am I going to argue this? I've already said no, I'm not going to argue it. But what I am going to argue is that the NFL does it to every player out there, every player, Greg Hardy, down to Tony Romo, down to Peyton Manning, down to Eli Manning, down to Michael Strahan. Oh, never mind, he doesn't play in the NFL now anymore. He's in bed with Kelly Ripa. Yes, I said that out loud. It was a joke, okay? Michael Strahan, don't come back and sue me. Although he's not going to watch this anyway. um, but you've got to do that to each and every player. Hand down the same type of penalties. Otherwise, the league is going to cry foul. The media is going to cry foul, and anyone and everyone out there is going to cry foul. With that being said, that's my take on Aldon Smith's suspension. I'm not going to argue it, but I am going to argue that the NFL does the same thing to each and every player that does the same amount or even less than that if you're going to start handing out suspensions like this. That being said, let's go over this week's NFL's power rankings. Everyone knows that the power rankings are pretty well set in stone right now, as the Panthers and the Patriots are the only two undefeated teams. The question is, can the Panthers, or did the Panthers dethrone the New England Patriots for the number one spot? And guess what, guys? Sorry, but they didn't. Tom Brady continues to go on a mission of proving the league wrong, and that no matter whether you deflate balls or the balls are completely inflated, the Patriots are 9-0, and he's going on a rampage to prove that. Ranked number 2 is the Panthers. The Panthers staying right there with the New England Patriots as they continue to go on their mission to go undefeated as well. The Bengals come in at number 3 after losing to the Houston Texans yesterday night or last night, 10-6. Pretty ugly loss, to be quite honest with you. It was an ugly game for both teams, but a great game for Houston if you look at it from both ends of the ball. Houston needed that win. They needed it bad. The Bengals, well, a loss is a loss. They can come back. Ranking number 4 is the Cardinals, 5, the Vikings, 6, the Packs, 7, the Steelers, 8, the Broncos, 9, Falcons, 10, Giants. The Bills, 11th. 12th, you have the Raiders. 13th, Jets. 14th, Dolphins. 15th, Eagles. 16th, Seahawks. 17th, Redskins. Buccaneers, 18th. Bears, 19th. Saints, 20th. Colts, 21. Chiefs, 22. 23, Texans. 24, Rams. 25, 49ers. 26 comes in the Dallas Cowboys. 27, the Jacksonville Jaguars. 28, Lions. Ravens, 29. Titans, 30th. Chargers, 31. And rounding out the 32 is the Cleveland Browns. And everyone knows the Browns are going to stay at the bottom. And update, as of early today, head coach Patine announced earlier today that Johnny Manziel will be the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season for the Cleveland Browns. So if you're a Manziel, you're a Johnny football fan, congratulations. You're going to get to see him choke the last 6 games. Can't do any worse than what they did the last 10, right? So that's the NFL rankings as they stand today. And Sports Guy 241, you wanted to know what I thought about the Dallas Cowboys. Simply put, I'm basically I won't read word for word what I blogged on the website. If you want to read word for word exactly what I said about the Cowboys, you need to go to the website. That's www.screamerproductions.com/AllAboutSportsZone to get all of what I said. I'll verbatim tell you what's wrong with the Cowboys and how they can move forward going on. What's wrong with the Cowboys? One, the Cowboys don't have a backup quarterback. Matt Castle, Brandon Weeden were supposed to be the answer. They are not. As of today, Brandon Weeden was cut along with Michael at running back, and one other player was cut as the Cowboys started cutting players. Why Greg Hardy wasn't cut, I don't know. I go into that a little bit more here in a second. The Cowboys' number one priority going into this offseason is to draft a quarterback. And I mean the first round best available. None of this, defensive players now. You've got an offensive line that pretty well protects Romo the way they need to. And you've got a defensive front that's pretty good. It's your defensive secondary that you need help in, and a backup quarterback that can be the future franchise quarterback of the Cowboys once Tony Romo steps down. So that's the first and foremost thing of what the Cowboys need to do. They need to draft a quarterback. First pick, first round, first thing, best available. You can dog the Dallas Cowboys and Tony Romo all you want, but you look at the statistics, the numbers with Tony Romo at quarterback, and then look at the numbers without Tony Romo at quarterback, and the Cowboys with Tony Romo are way better than what they are without Tony Romo. So dog Romo all you want. Romo's amongst the elites. He's in the top 4 in quarterbacks. He's up there with Brady. He's up there with Aaron Rodgers. I believe last check he was still third, right behind Aaron Rodgers for that third spot. The second thing they need to do is sign or draft a cornerback. Maurice Claiborne is not the answer at cornerback. The Cowboys gave him the benefit of the doubt at times, but he's been often injured. And this year, the Cowboys have given Maurice Claiborne the benefit of the doubt, and he's been healthy the majority of the season, and he's not the answer to no avail. The Cowboys wanted to give him a chance to see if he would go back to his playing days at LSU, and he just has not done that. The Cowboys definitely need to draft or sign a quarterback. Secondly, either, sign in free agency or draft a cornerback, best available, coming into the offseason, because Maurice Claiborne is not, and I repeat, is not the answer. Okay, what else is wrong with the Cowboys? The number one thing that's wrong with the Cowboys is the Cowboys coaching staff, their ownership have a tendency of this is hard saying. Let's try this again. Mollycoddling the players. And we've got to stop that. As an organization, as the Cowboys organization, they need to stop it. They need to stop mollycoddling the players and coaches. Plain and simple as that. This one Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, is notorious for. Greg Hardy has an attitude, and while I love his passion for the game, I cannot and will not tolerate him getting into skirmishes with other players on the same team. Leave it to Jerry Jones to hold Hardy's hand and tell him he will take care of it. This kind of mollycoddling has to stop. If a player wants to be a disease or a germ on a team, I don't give a crap how good he or she is. They need to cut their butt. The players and coaches need to take responsibility the way that grown men take responsibility for their own actions. So as for Coach Jason Garrett, offensive coordinator Scott Linehan, defensive coordinator Rod Marinelli, Jerry Jones to Stephen Jones to the guy providing the Cowboys with the drinks and the white powder before the game. So, what's wrong with the Cowboy? What's wrong with the Cowboys? I'll tell you what it gives. And this is my 2 cents verbatim as blogged a couple of days ago here at the website. My 2 cents, Cowboys fans won't like and probably will hate me for even saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, gets. The Dallas Cowboys are the only team that can go from Garrett almost being fired his first year to the playoffs the second year. Excuse me. To a dismal 2-7 through 10 weeks in the NFL his third year. Friedman said it best when I heard someone ask him about Jerry Jones. He said, and I quote, "Jerry Jones is soft." Boy, do you have that right. Soft as a cotton ball ran through the sink. The Cowboys clearly have issues, and the issues start at the top with Jerry Jones. Unfortunately for Jerry Jones, most of the available coaches out there don't want to coach for him. I've been a big believer in Bill Cowher, Tony Dungy, big names like that. But guess what? They won't coach for Jerry Jones, and they have publicly stated that on national television, along with the other 99.9% of the coaches in the NFL. Jerry Jones wants to run the show, and if you can't run the show, he pouts. See Jimmy Johnson for that. Guess what, Cowboys fans? The circus has come to town, and if you want to see what happens when the clowns run the show, just watch the Cowboys. Sorry, but until Jerry Jones kicks the bucket or turns over the team to his son, get used to the losses. That's my take on what I think is wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. Ranger fan or sports guy 241. That's my take and my 2 cents. In the words of Kelly Ogle from News Channel 9 in Oklahoma City, and that's my 2 cents. From there, let's go ahead and look at the coaches' polls for Week 12 in college football. And from there, we'll transition to baseball news, as there's been a little bit of baseball stuff going on. We may go a little past the 30 minutes than what I typically go. So sit tight and relax. Maybe grab a drink. Maybe grab a cup of coffee. Grab a cold one. Whatever you do to watch the show. Grab a croissant. Grab an ice cream sandwich, because this show may go just a tad bit longer than normal. Normally it's about 30 minutes, and I try keeping it about 30 minutes, but unless I can get through everything I want to in the next little bit, it's going to go longer than 30 minutes. So sit tight. This is the coaches poll for Week 12 in college football. Now remember, I do the AP or coaches poll the first time. I give you verbatim what the coaches or AP poll is. And then from there, I'll go in and do my own top 25. Whether, most of the top 25 is mixed up, especially here it will be. This is the coaches poll. This is not the national poll that comes out. Remember that. The national poll that come out, I believe, had Oklahoma State still at 7th, and Baylor at 6th, even though Oklahoma State had beaten Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. So the top 25, according to the coaches poll, is this: Clemson at 1, Ohio State 2, Alabama 3, Oklahoma State 4, 5, Notre Dame 6, Iowa, Oklahoma 7, Florida 8, excuse me, 9, Michigan State, 10, Baylor, 11, TCU, 12, North Carolina, Michigan 13, Houston 14, Stanford 15, Florida State 16, LSU 17, Utah 18, Navy 19, Wisconsin 20, 21, Northwestern 22, Oregon 23, Washington State, USC 24, and tied at 25th is Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Now, with that being said, my top 25 look like this: Ohio State, followed by Clemson, followed by Alabama, followed by Oklahoma State, followed by Iowa, followed by Oklahoma, followed by, I believe, 8th going to Notre Dame, 9th Florida, Michigan State 10, Baylor 11, TCU 13, North Carolina 14, Michigan 15, Houston 16, Stanford 17, 18 goes to Florida State, 19 LSU, 20th Utah, 21 Navy, 22 Wisconsin, 23 Oregon, 24 Northwestern, 25 going to USC. That's my top 25, not the coach's top 25. So, with that being said, we do have some baseball news that needs to be covered. So, if you're not a baseball fan, feel free to tune out. I realize some people say baseball's over. No, baseball's not over. The winter meetings, general meetings just got through. And once that goes, the winter meetings come about. And then from there, things start getting a little bit more busy. I definitely want to cover those things. So, with that being said, let's start with the number one thing I want to go to. And the number one thing I want to go to is that of the trade rumors from the Texas Rangers. I want to bring up the name Jeff Green. Jeff Green. The reason why I say Jeff Green is because a few weeks ago, Jeff Green and I were having a discussion after the Rangers season was over. And I said, per a source that I knew, that the Rangers were considering at one time trading Elvis Andrus. And like it or not, Jeff Green, not to call you out or anything, but a story came out yesterday per Bleacher Report and MLB Trade Rumors that the Texas Rangers and with the Padres need at shortstop, and AJ Preller's knowledge of Elvis Andrus, the two could pair up in a trade. Per a source. Did I not tell you that, Jeff Green? Did I not tell you that? I want you to go back and listen to the last few shows And I believe at one point, I don't remember how many weeks ago, I did say that it was a possibility. It probably wouldn't happen, but there was about a 5% chance that it would happen. And sure enough, the report comes out that says, per a source, the Padres could and are possibly pursuing Elvis Andrus of the Texas Rangers. I think I said that, Jeff Green. Sucks to be you. Until you know what you're talking about, you might as well just pipe down with your sports stuff, okay? You know, if you're going to listen to guys on the radio and in the media that don't know what they're talking about, then feel free to. But don't call me out and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about when not 2 or 3 weeks later, a report comes out about it. Did I not tell you that? So with that being said, I told you so. Haha, sucks to be you. Follow some real sports news. Why? Because I was the first one to even say that Elvis Andrus had a possibility of being traded. There's still only about a 5% chance that I'll be traded, but the Padres are doing their homework. So there you have it. That being said, the Boston Red Sox have acquired Craig Kimbrell from the Padres. That's not the first thing that'll happen. Kimbrell is probably the best closer out there, with the exception of Aroldis Chapman. So the Sox get a great back of the end closer and somebody that can add a good 5 or 10 more wins to their status from what they were last year. So congratulations to the Boston Red Sox on acquiring him. Now the biggest deal of the week was that of the Anaheim Angels, or Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, however you want to say it, acquiring the shortstop from the Braves, Andrelton Simmons. And this was a package in which a lot of people did not say, they didn't see this coming. But believe it or not, it looks to me right now that the Braves are all in for having a fire sale. The Angels not only got Andrelton Simmons, but they got catcher Jose Brasino, lefty Sean Newcomb, and righty Chris Ellis are going to Atlanta in return, along with time Halos shortstop Eric Ibar. The Braves will pick up $2.5 million in the swap to offset some of Ibar's salary. Simmons, 26, is definitely arguably the best defensive player out there, shortstop there is. American League, National League combined. His slash numbers last year were 248, 296, 416. He hit 17 home runs. The big winners in this deal, believe it or not, I don't feel are the Anaheim Angels. I feel they're the Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves get 2 young players in which they can build upon for making a better club. A club in which seems to be having a fire sale, as Freddie Freeman's name has been linked to trade talks as of right now. Although the manager, Freddie Gonzalez of the Atlanta Braves, has publicly already stated today that Freddie Freeman will be their first baseman, opening day first baseman. Well, you can't publicly really say anything until you know for sure that that's a fact. And the truth of the matter is, right now it looks like Atlanta's having a fire sale. Now, where are Atlanta fans in this? Atlanta fans are about ready to kind of poop their pants in a way. Um, Only because of the fact that, Atlanta fans are used to being in the playoffs. They've wanted to be and have been in the playoffs for nearly 2 decades, continually. So that's why a lot of Atlanta fans, that's the truth. That's why they're in an uproar. It's not because of a fire sale. It's because they're used to being in the playoffs. And the truth of the matter is, to get better, and Atlanta wasn't all that great last year. To get better, sometimes you have to get worse. Sometimes you have to get worse to get better. Now, the Atlanta Braves farm system is amongst one of the worst in baseball. I feel by the Atlanta Braves having a fire sale, that's a positive thing. That's them building up their farm system and getting it out of the tanks of being one of the bottom teams in the farm system. Now, I say one last baseball story of relevance. The other two are congratulations. The Marlins have publicly stated that they will exclude Scott Boras from Fernandez talks. My question is, do you blame him? Boras is notorious for getting players paid outrageous amounts of money while bending these teams over and making them feel the burn. This has been Scott Boras's MO. It's, when you're an agent, you want to get your players the best available contract that they can get. But at the same time, he's taken teams through the ringer, and not just one team. He does it to almost every team that he deals with. So why? Why would Scott Boras be excluded from this? I'll tell you why. He gets 5% of whatever his client makes. 5% of $200 million is a good chunk of change. I believe that's a $4 million. So if he gets every player, let's say he has 3 players get $200 million this year. 3 players at $200 million get him a total of $12 million in his pocket. So he's going to lie, he's going to cheat, he's going to deceive all he can to get the most money in his wallet, no matter what it takes, whether it be lies, deception, or however it is. And with Scott Boras, it's lies and deceptions. Look at A-Rod. He deceived the Texas Rangers out of a 2-year, $252 million deal. And Boras is one of those guys that the Rangers definitely try not to deal with a whole lot. He's one guy that they just kind of frown upon each and every time that his name is brought up. It's kind of like, oh, geez, Scott Boras, let's back away, step away. Scott Boras, and I don't blame teams for that. I really do not blame teams for that. So, with that being said, the Manager of the Year awards came out today, and I've got 2 congratulations. I don't believe I'll go back and see if the NL is posted. But congratulations to Jeff Bannister of the Texas Rangers for winning the AL Manager of the Year award. This is definitely well deserving. Taking a team that started off 6-17 in the month of April to an AL West title, 80-61 after that, and a 21 win improvement from 2014. This is a guy who's been through a lot and knows how to prevail, knows how to get his guys to work for him. He lended a voice to the Texas Rangers organization that lifted them above and beyond, got them to places even the media didn't expect them to get into. I didn't expect them to get in. I mean, I don't believe I had the Rangers in the playoffs, to be quite honest with you. I believe I had them second or third. But he did. He got AL Manager of the Year. He edged out AJ Hinch of the Houston Astros 112-82. Paul Molitor had 33 first place votes. So congratulations to Jeff Bannister for winning the AL Manager of the Year award. The NL Manager of the Year award goes to the Chicago Cubs' Joe Madden. Who can argue that? Joe Madden well deserved that award as he turned the Cubs around as well, the same way that Jeff Bannister turned the Texas Rangers around. So our hats off to both managers, Jeff Bannister and Joe Madden. Congratulations from here at the Jimmy the K Sports Zone, or Jimmy the K Sports Show, sponsored by All About Sports Zone. Congratulations. With that being said, that is this week's sports news. Remember, there's always 3 easy ways, or 4, depending how you look at it. You can get in touch with me. You can like us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/AllAboutSportsZone. You can follow us at Twitter at JimmyKersey1. You can email your questions, concerns, comments to AllAboutSportsZone@gmail.com. You can follow us at Google Plus as well. Until next week, 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, I'm Jimmy the K. Peace out.